Here we can see a circular lesion that's now being excised. We can see also the first flap is already marked, and that's approximately 3/4 to full diameter of the circular lesion to be removed. And you can also see the second flap, which is approximately 1/2 to 3/4 of the diameter of the lesion. And the angles are approximately 45 to 50 degrees along the long axis of the flap. Here you can see the lesion has been excised, and now the limbs of the second flap are being incised. The first flap is now being incised, and that's more circular because that needs to be rotated into the area of the defect. Now a triangular portion is being removed as the remainder of the first flap is being undermined. The reason the angle or triangle needs to be removed at the apex of the first lesion is so that that first flap can be rotated into position. We're undermining the second flap now, actually wide undermining, either with scissors or 15 blade is necessary to allow the rotation. Again, wide undermining. The triangle to be removed is also undermined, and the area of the lesion is now being undermined. The triangle is now being excised so that the first flap, as it's rotated into the wound, is not overlapping skin. Now that first suture can be placed at the apex of the flap, or it can be placed here at the peak and the valley of the flap. The order again is not as critical as accurate placement, and here we can see the closure of this apex and valley so that the first flap can be rotated into position. Usually we use a two-handed tie for placing the first sutures in points of tension. Here's the suture being placed at the apex of this first flap, and that is being sewn into position. And now we can begin to see the flaps being rotated into position. Here we can see the second flap that's being rotated into position. That's being closed. If there is a excess at the tip of this flap because of the apex, that can be trimmed off. Another suture is being placed here to close the area of the second flap, the donor region of the second flap. And we can begin to see how the wound is coming together. We use the remainder of the sutures to be placed according to the principles of halving. If any dog ears occur, again, we remove a dog ear by placing a hook at the apex of the dog ear or standing cone, and then use a back cut away from the flap and trim that tissue to allow the flap to be closed. Here we see the circular lesion removed and the first and second flap in position.